Well, I'm finally going to have a go at drilling the pinholes in the moulding boxes. I haven't beaten the pain. I'm just going to try and ignore it for half an hour or so, difficult as though that is. What we're going to use here is a pretty much bog standard drill press, but I have taken great pains to make certain that the table here is level, square with the drill, both in that direction that way and in the direction this way. Now, most of the time that these tables aren't, so you do need to check on that. The other thing, to stop the table bending down like this under the drilling load, I've propped it under here with whatever I can find to hold it. Also, because I have the table swung sideways so that I can have a decent support for the box when I drill it, I have to stop it twisting in that direction as well, so I've propped it here. Now, I've had to do all of this consistent with the fact that these drills only travel about 3 inches, so I've had to be very careful to make certain that both the drill and the reamer will go right through the ears of the box without having to raise the table up and down, because as soon as you raise that table up and down, you lose the level, and that's the end of it. Now, the first problem we have when drilling one of these boxes, drilling the ears, is the fact that the ears are on a slope. And a drill, when it hits a slope like that, inevitably tends to try and wander down the slope. Either that or it moves the box across, or a bit of both. So we thought, well, the way to beat that is to use a drill jig. So we made up a 3D printed jig into which we put a steel bush. This unfortunately didn't work because the friction with the bush and the drill means that the bush gets hot and the 3D print softens and the bush spins, so scrap that. You can weld one up like this if you like, which I did. Unfortunately, I've got an 11.8mm hole there. I thought that might be easier to ream, but it failed to clean up sometimes, so I gave that away. And I made this one up. It's only made out of hardwood. What's important here is that this bit of the jig sits against the end of the ears. We don't want it supported here and here on the sides of the box. We need this area here to do the supporting, to do the guiding. Having made that jig up and having made it tight with various bits of tape and whatever, so that it sits nicely on the box, I've then mounted this bit of steel on it such that the centre line of the piece of steel, more or less, corresponds with where we want the hole through the pin. Then I've transferred the middle distance between here up, across, marked where the hole's got to be drilled, clamp that on the box, like so, and then put the 7.5mm drill through, 11.5mm drill through. I think I did it in 2 or 3 stages using smaller drills. So that, now we have our jig. Now what we have to do is position the box properly underneath the drill. And for that, I'm using an 11.5mm pin that I made up. You can use the 11.5mm drill. The pin's just a little easier. So we put that in the chuck. That's roughly where it's got to go. Now we clamp the box down. And with my shifter here, so now we have the box firmly clamped in the right place for drilling the hole where we want it to go. Now it's simply a matter of taking that pin out, putting the drill in, Notice it only just fits, it just clears, just goes in. Okay, got the right speed, that looks pretty good to me. A little bit of WD-40 as a lubricant, and away we go. Ooh. One hole, a little bit more WD-40 maybe. And we're going through the second ear. Now I'm not pushing too hard here because you can cause distortion of everything, and so I'm just taking it fairly easily. Go. Right, that's the 11.5mm drill through. Take the jig off. Take the drill out. Put the reamer in. Now this is a 12mm fixed reamer. Make certain the reamer's clean. That doesn't look too bad. Now we need to slow the speed down. This is a bit of a pain that you have to change the speed every time between drill and ream and between ream and drill for the next hole. So it is a bit of a pain, but that's the way of it. How's that look? That's better. Now I've used 1500 RPM roughly on the drill. I'm using about 400, 450 on the reamer. According to the good books I read, that's about right. So we'll see. Straight through. Right. Now that we've drilled and reamed the boxes that are going to have the fixed pins, we have to drill and tap for the little grub screws that are going to go in place to hold the pins in. So I'm using a 4mm grub screw. I'd like something a bit bigger, but I don't happen to have the right size taps, but I do have a 4mm tap, so here we go. Now this is an 8th drill, a little bit of WD-40 again. Right, that's the drilling of that one. So notice I had to pull the boxes apart to make them 2 L's in order to fit on this drill press. I suspect that for one of the smaller box, I'll have to pull it right apart down to 4 sides loose, but we'll see. Right, that's the drilling done, now the tapping. I like to do the tap in the drill press also because it holds the tap nice and square. Again with the WD-40, always with the WD-40. Now I do this by turning that drill by hand, and I just simply have a big rubber band here that holds the tap down, and I just turn it by hand, hopefully. That's one. Now if I take that off and turn the drill backwards, one, back with the rubber band, hold it in place, off with the rubber band again and turn it backwards. And the other side. Now we need to cut some pins. Now I bought this hardened steel rod from eBay, reasonably cheap, fortunately. I need to have some pins that are 130 long. Unfortunately the rod came in 500mm lengths. It means I can't quite get 4 out of it that are 130 long, but I'll just mark it a little bit longer than the 130, I guess. Give me a little bit of room to manoeuvre. That should be pretty close to it. Clamp it rather firmly in the vise here, make certain I've got it right. I've got an angle grinder here with a nice thin cut-off disc in it. I don't know, what is that disc? 1-2mm thick or something? 1.5. Very, very good for this job. Stand by for some noise. One. Right, it's okay. Okay, I'll just take those to the grinder, square the ends up, both ends, and then put a bevel on them. Now we've got to square the one end of each pin. Not too bad. A little bit of a bevel on that end. Square the end of this one. A little bit of a bevel on it again. Now, the other end we need to put a point on. Need to square it up first and get it to the right length. I might have them a bit long here. Yeah, I'm 2 or 3 mil too long, so I'll go down to the grindstone end. That's it, that's 130. Now I put a bevel on the end of it. A good sized bevel because we want a lead in for the pin to go in the hole. Not too bad. Not perfect, but it's, you know, it's good enough for the job. That's not too bad, that pin. How much too long are we on this one? The usual. Right. That's 2 pins done. Now, I know, because I've already checked, that the little notches need to be 9 mil from that end, so it's about there, and 46 mil from that end, so it's about there, more or less. I mean, they don't have to be that accurate, but I'll use a little Dremel. That'll do. Maybe a bit wider. Yeah. One. How did we go? Closer. 46, yeah. 10, yeah, not too bad. I might just nudge that one up a little bit. I mean, these, you know, it'd be nice if they were pretty, but yeah, right. I don't know that they really have to be. 9, 46. Beauty. Close enough for me. Now we have to put the boxes back together properly. Now I've already just put them together loosely, but they're just sitting with the bolts loose at the moment. I've got a nice flat surface here. It's a bit of granite actually. That was the cutout from where our kitchen sink went and our new granite bench a few years back. I'll put some weight on it to make certain we hold everything down to flat to the granite, and I will just progressively tighten these bolts. Unfortunately, although we 3D printed these angles at 45 degrees in here, they didn't come out at exactly 45 degrees in the castings. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but they didn't. That means that you've got to be a bit careful when you do these bolts up to make certain that you pull the box square or reasonably square. I mean, it doesn't have to be tool room perfect. We are talking about moulding boxes after all, not a precision sort of die or anything. So we just have a bit of a look and see how we go. Now that one clearly is not square. Clearly not square. That one's way too not square either. Well, we wouldn't expect that. If the first one isn't, the second one won't be. So we'll pull this one in a bit. And just see whether we can improve the situation. We need to pull it in a bit more, I think. That one's a bit tight. That one's a bit loose, so we'll pull this one in a bit. This is a bit of a fiddly business, but, you know, what can you do? Come on, tighten the little bolt, that's better. Put the weight back on just to make certain we've got it here. That's not bad. It's pretty good, that one. Oh, it's not too bad either. This one I think needs to be a little tighter. Beautiful there. It's close enough. One of the more important things though is it flat? Or does it rock? Very slight rock. Just, there'd be a few thousandths of an inch rock there, but you know, we're dealing with cast surfaces here, so what can we expect? Yeah. That doesn't feel too bad to me. That's one. Now the bigger one. Same deal. And I think that's not too bad. So what have we got? There's about 4 or 5 thou wobble in that, I guess. Not much, a little bit. I can just sort of see it, so it's probably 5 thou. But that'll do us. I think that's it. So that's the 2 sizes of boxes that are, well, going to be fitted with pins. So I guess we can now do that. We can actually fit the pins. The grub screws are there, good. Get the little notches that I cut for the grub screws in the right place. Looks about it. This dinky little Allen key. Now, of course, I'm only putting 2 pins in each box because we don't want any more than 2 under any circumstances, but I have simply drilled all 4 positions to take pins so that I can, if necessary later, pull the boxes apart, put them together in another configuration that might suit a different job. And put the pins in the appropriate places when needed. Well, that's one. Right, that's the 2 fixed pin boxes fixed with the pins. And hopefully they're all in the right place. Yes, that looks right. I've been very careful with the length of the pins. The idea, if we get, pretend this is the bottom box, the idea is that the pin, the parallel section of the pin, does not go into this lug, this ear. And there's a very good reason for that, and I'll explain that later on as we proceed further with the video series. The next part of the series will in fact be the drilling, reaming and slotting as necessary of the other box halves to make these 2.